So, to take a quick break from focusing on the social justice thing, here's a pitch for a new segment I'm debating about adding to this channel. I call it The Hand That Guides the Pen. As I've mentioned before, I am a writer, and I'm still working on forging a career that I can be proud of. To that end, I thought I might give my perspective on some of the contemporary fiction out there as a creator, and I'd like to start with a TV series that has been running since 2015, yet I was just recently made aware of. The Magicians is a TV adaptation of the 2009 novel by American author Lev Grossman, following Quentin Coldwater, a psychiatrically unstable social wallflower with an uncommon obsession for a series of children's novels by the name of Fillory and Further. To his astonishment, he learns that the world and the magic therein are real, and is pulled by the machinations of fate into a host of misadventures as he discovers the dark secrets behind its innocent whimsy. I'm going to give you my impression of this show while trying my hardest to avoid spoilers, because I'd much rather people see it for themselves and make up their own minds. But I will say this, I was never a fan of Harry Potter. For me, something was always missing from its formula, and I think this series accounts for that missing element quite nicely. That said, actual fans of Harry Potter will either love it or hate it for that very reason. It did take a few episodes before it earned my respect, though. In the beginning, too many of these characters seem to be fighting for the center spotlight, to be the dominant parties in their respective social interactions. Everyone is witty, everyone is snarky, everyone is an alpha. Everyone has to be the center of attention, and it leaves no room for any human flaws. That is usually a sign of weak writing, but it slowly started to make sense. Apart from his nerdy obsession, Quentin Coldwater is, for want of a better word, normal. Painfully so. While clever, he is ultimately drab and boring, so the only way to make him stand out as the lead protagonist was to surround him with over-the-top freaks. And this approach does get off to a rocky start, but it gains cohesion as the trials of the story bring many of these characters into their respective elements. Apart from the mainly irrelevant background noise of minor supporting roles, the characters are seemingly evenly divided between three tiers. The first tier are the genuinely intriguing and pleasant to follow. This tier includes the developing protagonist, the demure yet adorable prodigy Alice Quinn, and the hot-headed psychic struggling to find his center, Penny. The second tier are the tolerable or even downright enjoyable in small doses. This tier would include the gimmicky catty bitches, Elliot and Margot, and Penny's estranged girlfriend with a strong aversion for midriff covering shirts, Katie. They ultimately add little to the plot, but make for decent filler with the right amount of screen time. The third tier are the insufferably annoying. The ones you can only hope will meet an untimely end, or are at least written off by circumstance, so that you don't have to suffer their presence any longer than necessary to the story. These would include the Ice Queen, Marina, who will make you think that a magician's rank is faithfully indicated by their level of cringeworthy snark, and Julia Wicker, Quentin's former crush and quote-unquote best friend, who gives new meaning to the words selfish bitch. I have to wonder to what degree this three-tier dynamic was calculated, because it is admittedly effective. The first tier is the engine. It catches your interest, keeps you watching, and is enough fuel to keep you plowing through the moments which might otherwise be cause enough for you to stop watching. The second tier bears the load of the plot. It fills the sections of mediocrity with things that evoke either a begrudging chuckle or a roll of the eyes, because downtime is better mildly annoying than boring. And the third tier is the compass that keeps you not too satisfied in the now and looking forward to future events, and by my personal theory, gives guidance to the writers penning future episodes. For that last tier, my theory is basically this. If the character is meant to be hated, then let them be as unlikable as possible to the point where they become the character you love to hate. That would make his or her end all the more satisfying and worth tuning in for. And if the character is simply unlikable, either in that they don't translate well from the source material or that they are butchered by an incompetent actor or actress, the writers can always take the route of creative liberty in either writing them out or diminishing their screen time. So long as this last tier do not dominate the show, they are both expendable and serve a function. What interests me the most in this series is the interplay of its two dominant themes. As a writer, my genre of choice is horror. I love stories with terror, pain and suffering, and hopelessness. Stories that make your skin crawl. The spine-shattering fear of the unknown and the unknowable. It was the inspiration behind the first aesthetic I tried for this channel. It's inherently intriguing by my experience, and this series outlines both the terror and the whimsy of it in a way that J.K. Rowling's magnum opus never could. However, I am also an appreciator of its other theme, and this runs in line with the main topic of this channel simply because the mentalities of social justice and feminism are bleeding into many of these kinds of stories, and this frustrates me to no end. Romance, when done correctly, is very captivating. I am not a MGTOW, though I can understand their position and their choice in life. I have felt every bit of the betrayal from those double standards favoring women on this side of the planet, and have had the same passing thought that they may be more trouble than they're worth. I have been subject to heartless bitches who go through men like Kleenex during cold and flu season, who ignore the affections of men they want to keep leashed in tormenting friendships, and who think of no one but themselves as they spare no one's feelings or well-being in getting what they want. Julia's character embodies all of that, and it's why I hate her more than any other so far. But at my core, I remain hopeful, because I do not see the visceral foundation of the connection between men and women as a curse to be escaped, however vexing it may be much of the time. To me, it is a thing of beauty, just one more subtle and powerful dance of the universe from the orbit of the planets to the tiniest quantum fluctuations. A universe that has molded us to not only work as a perfect machine to replicate and preserve our species, but one that is driven by the desire to fulfill that role from the onset of puberty until the last throes of death. I accept what we are. I've written poetry for the women in my life, which typically isn't my style. Hell, I've done it recently, for a woman I have no chance with and don't deserve, but for whose happiness I wish sincerely all the same. She's something special, and has been a major boost to my confidence in pursuing this channel. Truly, I am happy to have her in my life in any capacity. To someone with this kind of appreciation for that feeling, the romance of Quentin and Ashley is done very effectively, and although Olivia Taylor-Dudley is supremely sexy and adorable, a fact of which she has clearly taken full advantage since her involvement with 5-second films.
Is this heaven?
No. I'm just kidding. You can touch him.
I want a diamond ring, I want some bracelets and everything. Daddy.
Don't mind if I do. Anyway, it's not the physical aspect that sells me on it. It's this exchange that would lead me to call these two the most talented actors of the series so far, because it feels real. You can feel it before it's really even there, and it's born out of tension and mutual hardship. And every time he makes her smile, you see it progress just one step further, and it feels genuine, the same feeling I hope to capture in my own life one day. Admittedly, it is given a violent shove into that direction at one point, but at an acceptable climax in either character's development. But then tension returns right on cue, and you're given reason as a viewer to worry for the direction it might go, especially if it would mean wedging the insufferable Julia into the position of third wheel in an uncomfortable love triangle. Anyway, I encourage those of you who haven't seen it to give it a watch if you're a fan of either genre. The first season is available on Netflix, and the second season recently debuted on Sci-Fi. And those of you who have, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, or if you have any criticisms, let me know. And on a sentimental note, in addition to the story I told about one of my oldest friends in my second video, I hope this makes my ethical motivation for this channel clear. I do not hate women, just as I do not hate intersex people. I am simply tired of watching the world tear itself apart over stupid, divisive ideologies. I believe we have the potential to move beyond it and become something better. I do realize that I'm likely to catch crap for some of the things that I've said here from some of the people who disagree with this social justice bullshit, but I honestly don't care. The soundest advice I've received so far is to be true to myself, and that's what I intend to do. That is why I do this, to help weed out these poisonous ideologues so that those of us deserving of a future can continue to flourish.
I'm just kidding. You can touch him. I'm just kidding. You can touch him. I'm just kidding. You can touch him.
Oh, that's good. That's very good indeed.